with this, with him. Thank God she'd actually taken a bit of time on her appearance this morning. While her jeans, white top, and well-worn-in brown leather jacket weren't what she'd have picked for this reunion, they were decent enough. Josh. He looked much like he had at 18, except taller, his facial features less soft, his whole bearing more international. He no longer dressed like a graduating senior from a small-town Texas high school. In a navy pea coat open down the front, gray sweater, and flat-front charcoal pants, he gave off a hip and urban vibe. He was hip and urban now. Since she'd seen him last, Josh had leveraged his brilliance into a ridiculously successful tech company and moved overseas. A piquant mixture of sweet memories and bitter heartache rose within her. He glanced at something in a store window, giving her a view of his clean-lined profile. Then he turned his face forward, and his attention intersected with hers squarely. His expression went blank. His stride faltered. Oh, boy. Holly attempted a pleasant smile. God had been merciful to her by allowing her to see him first, at least. Josh seemed to recover himself and continued toward her at a slower pace. A good number of people, mostly tourists, strolled the sidewalk. At 10:15 in the morning on this third day of November, many of the shops on Main had just opened for the day. Holly stepped to the side, close to a section of brick in between two storefronts. Here, they could say hello to one another without blocking traffic like a boulder in the middle of a stream. Josh came to a stop facing her. She could hyperventilate, say something, or run. She chose the second option. Welcome back. Thank you. It's good to see you again. The intimacy they'd once shared had been as enormous as China. In the face of that, her paltry sentence felt as small as Luxembourg. His brown eyes assessed her with a tiger-like intensity that caused all the things she'd planned to say to slide out of her brain. There was something in those eyes that hadn't been there before. A shadow of guardedness and hostility. What had she expected? They'd loved each other once. Then, without warning or explanation, she'd shut him out of her life. Ben told me that you were planning to come to Martinsburg early for his wedding, Holly said. Yes. Josh and Ben had met in the 9th grade, become best friends, and remained close. Ben's dad had never been a part of his life, and Ben's mom had always been overstressed and cash-strapped. Holly couldn't imagine her handling any mother-of-the-groom responsibilities for Ben's wedding. None. So Josh had relocated to Texas from now until Ben's Thanksgiving weekend wedding so that he could give his friend the kind of support that counted. Ben had told Holly that Josh had taken over the planning and the funding for both the rehearsal dinner and the bachelor party weekend. Based on the Josh she'd known, his show of generosity and loyalty did not surprise her. It's nice of you to make the effort to be here for Ben. No affirmative reply. I'm Trinity Church's volunteer wedding coordinator. Since Amanda and Ben have decided to get married at Trinity, I'll be working with Amanda's professional wedding coordinator behind the scenes, representing the church. Anyway, I'll be helping out on Ben and Amanda's big day. His tiger eyes continued to assess her with such absorbed concentration that her mouth went dry. Wrongly, her heart seemed to be gaining speed instead of steadying. She bit the inside of her lip to keep herself from babbling about the wedding, or, at all costs, from blurting out that she was sorry. These many years later, that's what she most wanted to say to him. It was a sentiment that had often filled the letters she'd written him and never sent. How horribly sorry she was for ruining what they'd had, when what they'd had, she'd realized more and more clearly over time, had been rare and beyond price. How have you been, Josh? I've heard you've done very well. I've been okay, he said carefully. I'm glad. How about you? He asked it seriously, like he actually cared about the answer. Great. She gave him a bright smile. He was super smart. He could probably see through it. It was a smile overly, falsely bright. I write young adult novels. I know. You do? Yes. How did he know about her novels? I really love writing. When I'm not on a deadline or banging my head against my keyboard or out of ideas, which is most of the time. In answer, his lips indented upward on one side. Josh had a face perhaps a bit too angular, and a nose perhaps 1/4 of an inch too long to be considered classically